What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into yet another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. I am your host, Kevin Brumley, and I have my co-host on today, John. John, how you doing?
Pretty good today. Doing pretty good.
All right, man. It's good to hear. With all things considered, you don't have COVID-19. You're not dying. We'll take it.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going around to all 32 NFL teams. We're doing a team-by-team breakdown where we're talking about their additions, subtractions, draft picks, and making a 2020 prediction of, what they're going to do in the regular season and what they might do in the postseason. So today we are doing the Chargers of LA, not San Diego, the artist formerly known as the San Diego Chargers. Last year they went a really surprising, I put down a decent amount of money that the Chargers were going to win the West. And their 5-11 record did not earn the West. So they were pretty disappointing last year. And they have a lot of changes coming this season. So, as far as additions, Brian Bulaga, Chris Harris, Linval Joseph, they basically swapped, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his name, Russell Okung for Trey Turner. And they re-signed Aaron Eckler and Hunter Henry. So they took care of their own guys. Brought in a lot of talent. Departures, man, the G. Phil Rivers, man. Losing Phillip Rivers, Melvin Gordon. I told you they lost Russell Okung. Michael Schofield, not the guy from Prison Break. Thomas Davis, Adrian Phillips, and Jaden Watkins. They lost talent, But another addition that we didn't talk about because he was hurt a lot of last season, he played a little bit toward the end, is Derwin James, man. And Derwin James is a game changer. He's like Cam Chancellor, but faster. That dude is a playmaker. And I definitely thought he was slept on in the draft. And, he definitely proved me right because he balls out in San Diego. And I think that's what hurt him a ton last year, man. I think they were missing him. He's the eraser.
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely see a difference in their defense when he came back. He's so exciting to watch. And, they use him all over the place. He's definitely a game changer.
Being a Steelers fan, and he doesn't play the exact same way, but it's much like a Troy Polamalu where you really can see Derwin James line up anywhere on the field. And, we talked about Kansas City a little bit ago, Tyrann Mathieu the same way. It's just those kind of dynamic safeties, but he has size over those guys. Like he's built like a linebacker, but runs like a DB. The dude's freaky as far as an athlete. And then as far as draft picks, man, they had two of them in the first round. They got Justin Herbert, and they got Kenneth Murray Jr., which I love Kenneth Murray, man. I think he is a monster, and, having him and Derwin out on the field at the same time, those are some athletes.
Definitely.
They're it makes it real tough for an offense to get mismatches with those two on the field just because they just erase so much. And I think we might see a little bit of a slow beginning for Kenneth Murray, just for the simple fact of, COVID-19. The whole idea of not getting a large training camp. And he's kind of I don't want to say he's raw because that's unfair to him, but he's not as a finished product as some of the linebackers we've seen in the first round over the past few years. But man, what do you think about Justin Herbert?
I don't know. I feel like maybe a little of a reach to take him. I don't know. I just wasn't that big of a fan of him, but he didn't do college or anything, but I guess anything, he could improve. I don't know. I just don't feel like he's that next big quarterback you're looking for.
I agree. And, I don't think I want to say he was a reach because if he didn't go there, somebody else was going to pick him. So as far as that goes, I don't think he's going to be staying around on the board long. I'm not – the NFL, the people get paid money to break down prospects are wrong about 50% of the time on quarterbacks. So take it for what you want. I'm not crazy about him, man. I just – too many, inconsistencies. Some of the small things, he's athletic, but it's not like an elite athlete. So, I feel like the things he does well, he does, slightly above average. And the things that he doesn't do well are, slightly below average. So I think he's going to be an average quarterback. Go ahead.
No, I agree. I definitely feel like he's just not going to be that franchise carrying quarterback, almost like Philip. I guess Phillip Rivers never won that big game, but he was he would carry them to win games.
He was the guy, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you say, he never won the big one, but he was a guy that was capable of winning the big one, I feel like. But you know what? San Diego says we're not going to see Justin Herbert this year, or might not see him for a while, but you know how that works. So they're starting off the season with Tyrod Taylor, which I might be the last person on Tyrod Taylor Island. I like him. I don't think he's like great, but like I would love to have Tyrod Taylor as my backup quarterback, or if I'm in a transition year, you know, I think Tyrod Taylor's going to do better than people expect, the same way he did in Buffalo. He has talent around him, man. Keenan Allen is, I think, either the best or the second best route runner in the NFL. Him and Stefon Diggs, the two best. You know, Mike Williams, just a big play waiting to happen. Hunter Henry, if that dude could just stop having the worst luck humanly possible and like breaking and tearing everything in his body, he's a playmaker. You know, Eckler, Jackson, you know, a lot of playmakers on that offense and that defense. Like we said, you know, we didn't even mention Bosa and Ingram. They have talent there.
Oh, definitely do.
But the bad thing is, man, when you have a question mark at the biggest position in football and sports, that's tough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with that. And then that's why I feel like if they don't want Justin Herbert to play, I kind of hope they sign Kaepernick or something. I don't know. I just think, like, I mean, not that he plays like Tyrod or anything. I mean, but I just, why not? I mean, if you want to sit him anyways, why not just get another backup that could maybe get a few wins if something happens to Tyrod? I mean, I do like Tyrod a lot, though. I was all for the Browns not signing Baker and keeping Tyrod and, like, getting someone else or, like, trading back and getting more picks. But so I do like Tyrod as well. Maybe not as much as you, but.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying Tyrod. Like, I feel like Tyrod Taylor, he could have done what Trent Dilfer did back, you know, in 2000. Like, he could be a game manager. And, you know, he's not going to take you 80 yards to win the game, but, like.
He won't have a bunch of turnovers either.
Exactly. He's not going to lose you the game either. So when we look at, you know, the Chargers, they're in the AFC West. You know, you look at the rest of the division, you know, where do you kind of see them? You know, we'll get to the as far as final record in a second, but where do you think they're going to end up in the division?
I mean, I don't think they have the potential to – I mean, maybe they have the potential to win it, but I don't really see it happening. But, I mean, I definitely think they have the potential to wild card to fit into that type if the season goes well for them.
And I completely agree. I think the Chiefs are the obvious at the top of the West. To me, I feel like the Raiders are obviously in the basement of the West. And I feel like that 2-3 is like, you know, the Chargers who have a little bit more – you kind of know what to expect a little bit more than Denver. But Denver's, you know, up and coming. So,
they're young.
Man, it's interesting. And I do think, like, you know, we've talked about, I think Denver is going to be one of those teams that wasn't in the playoffs last year that make the playoffs. And I think, you know, I kind of expect Denver to be a double-digit win team. I expect them to get around about that 10-win mark. But I think the Chargers might be, like, the real surprise. Listen, man, the Chargers, I feel like every game, if everyone stays healthy, it's going to be a dogfight. Like, every game's going to be, like, 20-17, you know. Yeah. They're a team that they could be 0-8, and I still wouldn't want to play them. They're that team that's just a hard out. And, you know, they were kind of like that a little bit last year, too. But, you know, they've always had problems with, like, you know, game management. I don't really love Anthony Lynn. You know, they've clearly had the worst kickers in the league for a long time now. I just feel like they're a team that if they start off the season 0-8, I'd be like, huh. And if they start off the season like 7-1, I'd be like, huh. Like, like they can go either way really dramatically.
Yeah.
Unlike most teams.
No, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I mean, I think a big thing for them is just going to be, I mean, without Tyrod, like, I mean, he hasn't been on the team at all, so it'll just all be how he's, like, I mean, especially without the offseason and everything. I mean, I'm not sure how long they're going to have. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, both Melvin Gordon gone, I'm not having to worry about that. I think, I mean, they look fine without Melvin Gordon last year. So, I mean, I definitely think that they'll improve on the 5-11 record.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. One of the big things I'm curious is, like, is Austin Eckler, like, actually good, or does he put up numbers on a bad team? And I don't really know that answer. I I think my instinct is Austin Eckler's a pretty decent back.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this as an insult, but kind of like a poor man Christian McCaffrey, which really isn't an insult. Like Christian McCaffrey is probably the best running back in football.
Yeah.
But he kind of brings like that same type where he's a really good receiving back. But I just, I would honestly have to do a deep dive into like his not only his stats, but like of when they came during the game, because I didn't watch enough Chargers game last year to really understand how much were garbage and how much was, during the flow of the game.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not sure either. I definitely didn't pay attention real close to Chargers last year.
Yeah, they were pretty forgettable season for old. I almost called them San Diego, for the old LA Lightning Bolts. So where do you see that their record's going to finish up in 2020? And do you think they make the playoffs? Do they make some noise in the playoffs, or do you think they barely miss out? What do you think happens?
I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they win. I don't put them first or second in the division. Maybe third with maybe like 7 wins. That's what I'm going to predict. And then, probably go 7-9.
7-9.
But a lot of close games, a lot of like one-score games that they lost that they could have won. I'm going to say some of those.
And that's the classic Chargers, man. Like you know what I mean? They're always just, every game is always so close. And the seasons they do well, they win those close games. The seasons they do poorly, they lose those close games.
Mm-hmm.
They smell like an 8-8 team to me. They just smell like that 500 team that's going to come down, like, when they start doing the wild card hunt. They always show before every game and after every game. They're going to be that team that's like 1 or 2 games out of the wild card. But what might get them into the wild card is now they have that third wild card seed.
Well, that's true.
I don't know. You would have to think the wild card spots right now, Pittsburgh would be one of the front runners. You would think that, Denver, San Diego, whoever finishes second in that division.
Yeah.
The loser of Colts, Titans, Texans, one of those, 2 of those, those seem like the top runners. So I feel like, if they can get over Denver and, I feel like they might squeak into it, but I think 2 teams do make it from the AFC West. If I had to guess right now, I would say it's Denver. But with them being young, man, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Denver's offense is real young. Well, the Chargers maybe they can sneak some past Denver. But, I don't know. I feel you right around that 8-8 record.
And so my parting shot that I have is I don't know, man. As soon as I started thinking about the Chargers, I feel like – hear me out what I'm saying. I feel like they're like the Rams, because they're going to be that team that's so talented, but all they're missing is a quarterback. And, like, that's not a knock on Jared Goff, but they're like – Jared Goff's the piece that holds them back. And, I think, Justin Herbert might be okay. Like, he, what I mean? He might be even slightly above average, but I feel like he's going to be the piece that holds them back. And it's going to be kind of like, before everybody was out on Mitch Trubisky, before, people realized how bad he really was.
Yeah.
But when the people are like, oh my goodness, could you imagine if the Bears actually, drafted the right quarterback? I think it's going to be that same thing, man, where, maybe, I don't know if it's going to be somebody else, a quarterback in this draft. It might be like Jalen Hurts or something like that. We're like, dude, if they would have, drafted this person instead and got Hurts, and played like the main game. That's what I smell, man. I smell a team that's loaded up on talent. That's going to be a quarterback away.
You think Herbert takes any snaps this year?
Yeah, every year that they do that stuff where they go, oh, we signed a veteran, and the veteran, the Browns literally forced like Tyrod out just because.
Oh yeah.
They wanted Baker to play. So it's kind of seems like it's going to be the same thing with LA Chargers this year. So, I'd say we see Justin Herbert probably, unless they're like really competing, I would say you probably see him around like week 10, 11, 12, something like that. But I don't think you're going to see him in the first half of the season at all.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely agree. Like, I feel like if they just keep on winning, they have a winning record. It's hard to put them in, and you got to keep riding with Tyrod. But as soon as they start losing it all, like a couple games, maybe 2-3 games or something like that, he'll get the hook and they'll put Herbert in.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for a reason later in the season to bench Tyrod. So, you know, like I said, it just depends on how much they're winning, how much they're losing, man.
Yeah.
So if you guys like the content, make sure you click like and subscribe. Check me out on Instagram at @the_sports_muse for all of your latest sports updates. Holla at you, boy.